integration of work and life, more concern about and attention to employee health and well-being, more questioning of the value of higher education for career and financial success, more Americans living and working into their 70s, 80s, and beyond. In October 2020, Erik Brynjolfsson, director of the Digital Economy Lab at the Stanford Institute for Human-Centered AI, remarked, "We've seen more changes in how we work over the past 20 weeks than we have over the past 20 years. Let's delve for a moment into the acceleration of remote work. According to the Federal Reserve, the share of the U.S. labor force working from home had already tripled in the time period from 2005 to the beginning of 2020. Then, within just the last few weeks of March, the numbers surged. As of March 15, 2020, 31% of U.S. workers had ever worked remotely. By April 2nd, that number had doubled to 62%. This meant that millions of professionals went from never having heard of Zoom to spending half their days on the video conferencing app. Parents who had never worked from home were suddenly taking conference calls with toddlers on their laps, or teenagers participating in remote high school classes in the same room. Leaders who had never talked openly about race were leading virtual town halls about implicit bias and microaggressions. Recruiters who normally touted the critical importance of a strong handshake were hiring employees without ever meeting them in person. All of this change is merely referring to the experiences of those who were fortunate enough to retain their jobs. After 128 months of economic expansion in the United States, the longest in the history of our country, vast employment and business opportunities evaporated in a remarkably condensed period of time. Through just the first 6 months following the onset of the pandemic, 1 in 4 Americans put in new claims for unemployment benefits. 21 million Americans switched to part-time work because they couldn't find full-time jobs. And 55% of small businesses closed, never to reopen. In the same period, more than 4 million people graduated from college in hopes of starting their careers. I know that I'm not reporting anything you don't already know, and words like unprecedented, historic, and catastrophic have become cliché when describing the events that have taken place since the emergence of COVID-19. But we cannot and should not gloss over the enormity of what has transpired in such a short period of time. Since the beginning of 2020, every single person around the world has experienced a collective, unplanned, unwanted disruption, far worse for some than others, and it has changed every single one of our career trajectories in one way or another. No matter what brought you personally to this moment, whether you are currently unemployed, employed, self-employed, or still not sure what day it is, I honor you for arriving here. Living and working in these times is not for the faint of heart. Recalculating is here to help. The art of recalculating. When I first started to think about all the people thrown unexpectedly into career transition during the initial stages of the pandemic, I kept imagining that moment when you're driving a car and the road forks, or you make a wrong turn, or you miss an exit. If you're using the GPS on your phone or another device, it will glitch for a few seconds, and then a robotic voice will say, "Recalculating," sometimes over and over again. I admit I don't have the best sense of direction. Now imagine every working adult on the planet in our cars hearing this voice all at the exact same time. Maybe you're a recent grad trying to find your path after college. Maybe you were laid off from a long-time position in a dying industry and need to reinvent yourself in a new field. Maybe you're thinking about launching an entrepreneurial venture or freelance career or joining the gig economy. Maybe the health crisis, the Black Lives Matter movement, or an environmental disaster has inspired you to pursue a different, more personally meaningful career path. Maybe you are a stay-at-home parent who wants to re-enter the workforce. Maybe you've decided to recommit to a job that you had been losing interest in. Maybe you change your mind every hour and you're not sure exactly what you want.